So let me take a step back. 2011, I guess that's what, 13, 14 years ago, when we first started working this project in my prior capacity, which was the Brownsville Economic Development Council, we met, we got a call from the governor's office that they had this project, this company that was looking to build rockets on the commercial side, which was unheard of because back then it was NASA. NASA was the only entity in the United States that launched rockets into space. So it was a private company, mind you, a startup, that was looking to both manufacture and launch rockets into space, and they were looking at 4 states, and that was Florida, Georgia, Puerto Rico, and then Texas. And not just Texas, but the southern tip of Texas. So we met with we were with the governor's office. They gave us a lead the next day, make the phone call, and within 2 weeks, we're already meeting with the company, and we're meeting with the founder of the company, which turned out to be Space Exploration Technologies and Elon Musk himself. And obviously, this was Elon before the Elon that we know today, right? And he painted the vision and started talking about building rockets and why a place like Brownsville, Texas, Boca Chica Beach, and I'm going to use his term, was, quote, intriguing to him. And at that point, for this project, everything pointed to Florida. But then we're looking at, okay, we got it. He gave us almost 2 hours of his time and talked about the project. It was almost kind of like a pitch, just kind of like, here's what we're doing, here's what we're trying to do, and here's why it makes sense. And then somewhere along the lines, he asked us, do you know why we're doing this? And I'm like, okay, well, it's kind of like you're taking payloads into space. You're kind of like a logistics company, kind of like a FedEx, UPS, except you're going to space, right? So there's money to be made in that. And that's when he kind of paused and said, humanity can no longer sustain itself on this planet. So I'm going to colonize Mars. And the way we're going to do that is by building rockets and launching them into space, destined for Mars. And Boca Chica Beach could maybe be the place that we do that. So this is 2011. I mean, this is, we're still in the middle of a major economic downturn. The space shuttle was still flying. And when it came to cutting edge, forward thinking, global ideas, everybody was on the edge of their seats waiting for Steve Jobs to tell us what that was. He was still alive. So we're there and we're like, okay. And then we're thinking, how are we going to make this project happen? He just told us a why, but now here we are, Brownsville, Texas, back then, the poorest community in the United States. How are we going to be able to convince our leadership that this is a project that we should put our hard-earned, tax dollars to play to incentivize a company at the time to come into our community and do what he just said? How are we going to convince the local population, the local people that, we're going to do this because we're going to colonize Mars? That was the vision back then. But we're living that today. Fast forward to today, that's exactly what they're doing at Boca Chica Beach. They're building rockets that are destined for Mars, and how nice that it's actually happened today. So now, the questions that we're asking ourselves in our office is not, we're not talking about the space vehicle, the satellites, the infrastructure that's needed to get a spaceship to Mars. That conversation was already had. Today, the conversation we're having, as far as the space industry, the commercial side, space sector, is thinking forward is, how is Mars going to get colonized now? So you think about it. I mean, getting there is one thing. Getting there is what's being done today. But once you get there, I mean, what are you going to need? Well, you need tools, you need food, you need construction materials to start building a city out there. You watch that movie, The Martian. The Martian came out several years after our first initial visit with Elon. It's all the above. Everything that we have on this planet, how are we going to get that to Mars? So that's the conversations that are being had today for 10 years out. So that's forward thinking. That's what we're doing. We already have the company, the operation that's building the rockets to get us there. Now it's the how on another planet. Nathan, does that answer your question?